Heavy Radio 26. You did it. You pushed play. That means you're ready to get heavy, get loud, to get fast, get high, and get low. Yeah. Heavy Radio 26. We got my man, Eric Wicker, on the stick. We got Eric Anderson here with us from...
twin attack of the Erics.
Yes.
Yeah, dual attack.
Beats. Is it Beats, Beards, and Brews? Did I say that right?
Yep, that is correct.
From the podcast you know as Beats, Beards, and Brews, Eric Anderson, special guest, Heavy Radio 26.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Just to start off, we'll say Eric is my brother, my real brother. Eric Wigger's my brother from another mother, and Eric is my true brother. And just to start off, so Anderson was our family name, and I feel like do you get this just as much as I do? Almost every day, someone's with the Mr. Anderson.
I don't know about every day in 2021 if they're still hot on the Matrix references.
They do.
But
I do. I still get it.
It does. It probably depends on where you work too. I feel like your workplace.
Yeah, people are behind the times sometimes. They don't get all the new.
People
trends.
still bust it out though, for sure.
And then that, or just someone, I walk into a room and people are just talking about Keanu Reeves. Like that seems like at least once a day for me.
Keanu's just getting hotter and hotter.
He's hot right
That's
now.
True. White hot.
He's burning up.
Can't stop Keanu.
Going straight to the top.
And he has like the Nicolas Cage casting strategy where he just like accepts all the movies right now, it seems like.
It does seem like it.
SpongeBob, he was great in SpongeBob. I watched it Friday, can confirm. If you're ready for that white hot Keanu Reeves, get on that SpongeBob.
But yeah, so we'll get into some Heavy Radio 26 news coming in from Mr. Eric motherfucking Wickham.
Yo, so we just got news that Jerry Cantrell has completed work on his first solo album in almost 20 years. Degradation Trip, his last one came out in 2002. So this is his third solo record. They wrapped production, so I'm pretty stoked on this one. The Degradation Trip was actually the record that got me into Jerry Cantrell, and then
fuck yeah,
Alice
still love Boggy Depot, still love Degradation Trip. That lineup, fucking Trujillo and Borden was a fucking great three-piece.
I'll chime in. I'm glad you picked that news because I saw it and then I almost forgot about it with all the news that's going on. But Degradation Trip is an underrated, like the full double album experience for that one. I think it came out as a solo album originally, but you got to get the double and get the full experience. But it is a very like dark, depressing moment in Jerry Cantrell's life after Lance Staley passed away. Alice in Chains was no more at the time, so it's a heavy hitting album, appropriate for your podcast. It gets real heavy though, so you got to be in the right mood for that.
Yeah. Oh, it does.
The first
he
track's
mentioned that
iconic,
too. He
right?
said, whenever he sees Rob and Mike, they're like, "Yo, let's do some of those songs," and he's like, "Yeah, we'll do it, but I gotta I'm not that guy anymore." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He was talking about they were gonna do some live tour, or talking about getting the band back together and doing some live shows, but he was like, "Man, this is just too heavy, too real."
It is, man. But I'm excited. I don't know what it's gonna sound like, but the last Alice in Chains records have been amazing, and seeing them like cut into real new writing territory. So I'm excited. Let's see. Next news story I have up here is from Mr. Ross Halfin, the world famous music photographer. He is releasing his Randy Rhoads book. It's going to be titled Randy Rhoads by Ross Halfin. So that is coming out. It's going to be an awesome book with a lot of unreleased pictures he promised and some stuff that's going to be really exciting. So if you're a Randy Rhoads fan, as which all three of us definitely are, definitely go check the new Ross Halfin book out. So I'm excited. He's my favorite guitar player, so I'm definitely going to have to pick this one up.
More Randy in the world's never a bad thing, even if it's just pictures of Randy.
Right. Yeah, and after you'd think after what almost 40 years, everything's been released at this point, but there's still little fun things coming out, little recordings here and there, pictures, stuff. So um, I'm really excited for this one. So definitely go check that one out, Randy Rhoads fans out there. Next up, we got word that Richie Kotzen and Adrian Smith have joined forces for Smith Kotzen, and they're going to be releasing their debut joint record on March 26th through BMG. So,
Sweet.
Yeah.
I heard the single. I didn't know it was a full record, so that's cool.
Yeah, so they got 9 tracks here. So I'm excited. They're going to do CD vinyl releases. But that's rad. Adrian's one of my favorite players, so definitely got to check this stuff out.
If you're into Swedish lead guitar, Yngwie Malmsteen is playing a best of live stream concert in Vegas on March 20th. You can go to yngwie.veeps.com to get in on that action.
Hell yeah.
So a full band best of live stream from Vegas.
I saw an ad for that. I forgot about that. That's red. I'd watch that shit.
Yeah, I wonder
Vegas.
who's on vocals or if it's multiple vocalists or what.
Yeah.
I thought I heard, did he actually have a live audience for that? I saw some article that was like bashing it because he was bringing people together, but...
Yeah. Maybe there's a limited engagement sort of thing.
Malmsteen doesn't care. He'll shred away the COVID.
I feel like his playing could kill the novel coronavirus. I don't know the science. I don't know the science.
Bolts will shoot out.
I don't know the science behind that, but I bet it could happen.
Our lawyer's calling my phone right now. I got it's some similar related.
It's not science. It's magic. That's
sure. All right. Well, that'll be our defense. That's what I believe. And related to live shows, Corey Taylor has announced a 3-week tour this spring. Where they're going to, he said they're going to socially distance and do temperature checks at the door. But he said, so there won't be a full, audience, but he said he wanted to kind of get everything rolling, kind of get the tires rolling with his crew and everything. So that's exciting just to, I know it's still socially distanced and we need to do that to be safe, but it's at least a promising thing to see somebody, even if it's a 3-week tour, at least getting out there and starting to get things rolling. So that's promising after a year of not exciting live show news. At least there's light. So we're getting there.
Have you guys heard this from the Geoff Nichols estate? There came out this cassette tape and it said Slapback on it, and it people are saying that it's a Sabbath song. With Dio singing that just didn't wind up being on Heaven and Hell, and it sounds like it to me. If you haven't heard it, go listen to that. It sounds fucking great.
Yeah, I checked it out earlier, and then it's awesome. It's upbeat. I can see why they didn't end up putting it on Heaven and Hell, but the song's awesome on its own. So
I haven't heard that yet. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's cool, and the quality's really better than I thought it was going to be for like an unearthed cassette tape.
Some dirty cassette tape found in some basement.
Yeah, and the keyboard players. Yeah.
I just ordered. I've been getting back into collecting some vinyl during the pandemic, and I ordered deluxe editions of Mob Rules and Heaven and Hell. They're coming today in the mail.
Hell yeah! Boy.
Could have a live delivery live on the show.
Yeah. And we have to raise our swords high. You will eat the cake, Joey. You will eat the birthday cake. You will eat this cake tonight. We got to say happy birthday to Joey DeMaio from Manowar. Drink your beer. Pour your beer all over your body, but none gets in your mouth. In salute to Joey DeMaio from Manowar.
Shine it up.
Eat your cake, Joey. Happy birthday. You Snape-looking motherfucker. And we got the heavy metal Time Machine going back to this day in 1975. Led Zeppelin is awarded a gold record for their classic double album, Physical Graffiti.
Awesome. That's probably my favorite Zeppelin record,
Yeah.
actually.
That and
a
Houses
great,
of the Holy, I think, are the two.
Yeah, there you go.
good shit.
This guy knows what's up.
Good piss, mate. But yeah, and so we got Eric Anderson here, and so what you've had your podcast going on? I know you've done some music bits. Talked about Bloody Hammers, a band that I love, on a recent episode, and you guys talk about the world of beard products, and the world of beers.
Yep. Yeah,
Has
to
there been
anybody's.
has there been a real standout beer of the recent times that you guys have come across?
There's been a lot of. We've been doing more local stuff during the pandemic just to like support the local breweries. Confluence has had a lot of good ones. I'm trying to. It's kind of a blur without looking at the list of the beers that we've reviewed.
Sure.
But Confluence, if you're in the Des Moines area, Confluence Brewing Company is doing weekly releases, sometimes 3 beers a week. So they got a ton. 515 Brewing, another one that we've enjoyed a lot of the stuff from. So
What's the best way for people to find your podcast?
you can pretty much now. I think we have enough episodes. We just passed 100 episodes into last year. I think we're at 106, 107 now. That should be coming out any day. You can search Beats, Beards, and Brews. We're on Spotify. We're on all those podcast catchers out there. And yeah, if you want to check us out, I think if you listen to this podcast, you'll probably enjoy what we do. We review a new music release, not just metal related. My other 2 friends are kind of into the indie rock and punk rock, and we do some country occasionally. We've done stuff like Sturgill. We do kind of the spectrum. Sometimes we do music that I think I would have no interest in, but there's albums I'll love. Like Fiona Apple had a new album last year, Fetch the Bolt Cutters. That was pretty amazing, actually. So I get to expose them to heavy metal too. So
Yeah, and I'd say she definitely has some heavy music, just in a different sense of the word, for sure. That's an artist that definitely comes to mind. Wasn't on one of the Kurt Russell movies. I think there was a great song on the soundtrack, Escape from L.A. or New York. I don't remember which one that comes to mind, but I remember hearing that song by her on the soundtrack. I think it was. But yeah, and we have some history that kind of intertwines when it comes to radio. Like Eric Wicker and myself started at 88.1 KDPS in Des Moines, playing stuff like King Diamond on terrestrial radio, and then Eric Anderson took over the helm for that and kind of kept that sort of thing going.
Yep, and actually, one of my co-hosts on Beats, Beards, and Brews, Dan Brack, is doing the podcast with us over there, and he did our version of the metal show on KDPS with me too some of the time. So it all is connected full circle.
I moved on to take that sort of thing to University of Northern Iowa, KULT, and you did to Iowa University, right?
Yep, KDPS, the station, lay it out there. So
was their station called KDPS too?
I believe, or unless I'm getting it wrong, maybe you just put that in my head, or I'm thinking the wrong station now. Oh no, KRUI.
KRUI.
It's all a blur of call letters now in my mind.
Yeah, there's probably nothing else going on like that in Iowa City, was there?
Like a heavy metal type show, or
were there some other people that did?
There was I started on the late shift, and I finally at first I had to play like their rotation, which was just like a lot of indie stuff. But they did have all the Primus I discovered, so I just started basically a Primus hour is what it transformed to, and then they gave me the rights to do my own stuff, so do metal and all that. And I think one of my favorite calls, a cab driver called in, and she was just like, "Oh, there used to be some metal show on here, but there hasn't been metal for a long time, and I just love what you're doing, and it gets me through my late night shift." So I was like, "All right on." Makes me feel at least I got one person listening. That's
Hey man, that's keeping hold of flame, dude. You connect with those people, man. That's what it's about. I think we had a construction crew call in once. It was just like, hell yeah.
Construction, people doing reg bry, all kinds of cool stuff.
Yep.
Keeping the metal going, man. The people need it.
Yeah, and we thought we'd do a little theme topic. We'd get into just action figures, and especially there's been some recent companies taking on some heavy metal icons when it comes to action figures. And if I just know back, we've been friends since we were little kids, and me and Eric have been brothers since obviously we've been 0 and 2
since birth.
Yeah, since we were the babies from the Exodus Bonded in Blood album cover. But yeah, so we were always, action figures was always big to me. Like, I remember the first time going to the store and seeing like the new Ninja Turtles action figures the first time they came out, and just being like, that's my jam right there.
Yeah, we had pretty much, I think, the majority. Like they hooked us with the marketing. Every turtle you could get, like Halloween turtles, Kwanzaa turtles.
Oh yeah, I love those classic
Dracula turtles.
The classic monsters turtles are still some of my favorite action figures. And then there's like the heavy metal, like the punk rock Donatello and
oh yeah,
heavy metal
foreshadowing.
Raphael. Yeah. But yeah, let's get into is it reaction figures? What's that company?
The company is Super 7 out of San Francisco. I discovered them. I was kind of actually looking for a gift to get my brother Mark for Christmas, and I found they had some Halloween classic Hollywood monsters. So I grabbed him a Wolfman and a Dracula, fitting for some tattoos he had too. So it was a fitting. But then I also got selfish around Christmas. It's you buy gifts for somebody, and then you just end up bought some action figures for myself, and they have a whole. They have different categories on their site, and they have a whole music series. So they have like King Diamond, they have Lemmy, they have Rob Halford, they have
Jerry Only.
Yeah, Jerry Only. They have multiple variations, kind of like we were talking about Turtles, of the Crimson Ghost from the Misfits, just like different colors and based. And the cool thing with them, the backing, they put a lot of work into the artwork that goes like on the cardboard sleeves for these things. So that's almost as cool as the action figure itself. But of course I had to open mine up. I wasn't just going to leave the action. I'm not a psychopath that just leaves all their figures in a box. I'm not about that life. You got to take those guys out. You got to free them.
Yeah, that's how I've ended up with mine. Usually I take everyone out.
Yeah, every once in a while something comes that gets me, like when that WWE Ninja Turtles collaboration where it's like Roddy Piper, Raphael, or Michelangelo's Roddy Piper, one of those.
Yeah.
And that got me. But yeah, those reaction figures look especially cool. And then there's going to be like a deluxe King Diamond, I think, with like different poses. And
yeah, they got like removable hands and faces and stuff. So
yeah, that's amazing. Some things I remember throughout the years was like that Todd McFarlane and Kiss collaboration was pretty cool for Psycho Circus, and when we were really little kids, the Bill and Ted action figures where like I think you could like plug in a tape and their guitars and amps like actually worked and shit. That was awesome.
We had Toxic Crusaders too. I remember.
Oh yeah, those are some of my favorites still. Like the colors and the features are still like hard to touch.
It seems like the Super 7 company's just going back and buying all those childhood licenses because I think they do have Toxic Crusaders, and they have.
I did see that now.
They know what's up.
Yeah, they're making bank. They're slightly smaller than the normal action figures, but a little more quality. But they're still like $18 a figure, so they're definitely doing well, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's cool because they all kind of have like the construction's kind of like the old like Kenner action figure lines, but then the product lines they have are like straight up the old school stuff. I had to go on their site just now because I was curious. You know, they definitely have like the old school, like the late '80s, early '90s Turtles stuff rolling.
Yeah, I think they're all seem to be based off figures that they had back then. So I saw they're doing like sports icons like NBA and stuff like that. So you can really
they know what's up.
Yeah, you can get pretty much anything. Movies too. So
Universal Studios Monsters. Oh no! All right, why did I go to this website? I'm in trouble now. I shouldn't be here.
Yeah, it's as you see it, and then you just want to spend money.
I gotta turn back, run away.
Yeah, delete the browsing history.
Yo, you've been looking at action figures.
Yeah, I promise that it's his accident.
times come we gotta pay some bills, I think.
Yeah, we do.
Got ourselves a sponsorship.
Yeah, these podcasts are not free. So we like to bring in different products to help pay those bills. So this week we have Dave Mustaine's Meet the Real Me Escape Room. We're all so busy these days, sometimes we forget to connect with ourselves. The team at Dave Mustaine Industries recognized this and devised a product straight from the classic Sweating Bullets music video. In the Meet the Real Me Escape Room, you will spend 7 days with yourself in a concrete room. Talk to yourself in the mirror, from behind yourself, kick yourself in a corner, whatever you want. Meet the real you. Disclaimer: escape is not actually an outcome of this product. It will be mandatory 7 days solitary confinement. Those with claustrophobia, cold sweats, black tooth grins, or dementia should not attend. A lot of disclaimers there.
Sign me up.
Fun.
Sounds intense and harrowing, but hey, man, whatever pays those bills.
Yeah, actually, I got just handed this sponsorship too by our people. Also, Heavy Radio, also sponsored by Corn Hub, the one-stop shop for corn on the cob, corn in the can, those little sharp things so you don't have to touch the corn. And yeah, get all your corn needs at Corn Hub. Check it out on the web.
I'm going to type that carefully.
I also have to delete your browsing history again.
Yeah.
Multiple instances.
It's a hell of a night. Corn Hub and action figures.
Now I want some corn on the cob. Well done, sponsorship.
There you go.
Those little
They're
pony
already
things.
making money off the people on the podcast.
Yeah, I just bought action figures and corn on the cob right now.
Is that an Iowa thing? Does everybody have those little pointy things? Is that just where the pros that
The
corn?
pros, the pro level is when it's a little plastic piece of corn.
Yeah, right.
That's
I think
pro
that's the only
level.
way to do
That's
it.
top. Yeah, that's you're playing the
That's-
big leagues at that
Yeah,
point.
those things can be deadly though. You gotta be
You just,
careful.
I know,
you just
but
grab it when it's
I feel
scalding
like
hot with the butter. That's dangerous.
You could have a definitely a horror movie where someone gets,
Killed by a corn cob.
Yeah,
corn cob holder.
corn cob holder murderer.
That'd be a slow, brutal
Yeah,
way.
lots of
You're
little
right. That could be
pokes.
like a Cannibal Corpse song.
Yeah, that's one
Corn cob
eyeball at a
massacre.
time. Slow way to die.
Heavy Radio 26 tracks coming in now. And yeah, I'm starting off talking about fucking action figures. I got Lion with the Transformers from 1986. It was the theme from the 1986 Transformers movie, and full on heavy metal, full on Robot Chubby. This this is
Indeed.
like such a great jam. Have either of you guys seen that movie, the animated Transformers?
Yeah, it's a down note, man. It's heavy.
I don't think I've
fuck,
seen it.
it's got Judd Nelson, Leonard Nimoy, Orson Welles, just to name a few. Like, it's fucking
Right.
amazing.
Yeah.
And this review, I thought, summed it up. It was just some guy's review, but though a modest film compared with Michael Bay's Transformers, the originals is the better film, wrote John Swansburg of Slate. There's nothing even approaching the original's narrative depth in the new Transformers. And yeah, it's like you actually get acting chops from fucking Orson Welles in that shit. Like, it's pretty wild. And there's just a full on heavy metal soundtrack. Like, there's two other bands that I had never heard of. I don't think they did much else, but they're ripping on that soundtrack. But yeah, Lion with the Transformers theme is my first pick. And we'll go with Eric Anderson's first pick for the Heavy Radio 26 playlist.
Cool. Make sure I'm doing this right. We go classics first, right?
Yeah, sometimes we mix it up, special mix, throw in a sauce, but that's just how that's good. That'll be good. Yeah.
Some surprises. So my first pick, I feel like at this point in the world, the state of the world, it's good to have some uplifting heavy metal. Which I'll either go to traditional heavy metal or I'll go to maybe something like Viking metal. So I picked an Amon Amarth track. And this one was off their album Twilight of the Thunder Gods, which I think I saw Metal Blades releasing some vinyl box set that has it on it. And it's like picked as one of their top like albums that kind of kept their label going. And this song is, I picked, of course, the hardest one to pronounce on the album. I think it's Variegs of Miklagard. I don't know.
Sure.
Sure, we'll go with that. But either way, it has that like classic Amon Amarth, like galloping guitar part. You got the harmonies going. You got the.
I think that's
the
large. Translates to large kegs of Michelob.
I don't think they'll be drinking Michelob. Who knows?
I would hope not. You would hope not.
Some mead or something, maybe.
Non-alcoholic.
Out of a giant wood cup.
Yeah. Great. I saw them live around that time period, live from the Viking ship. It was pretty awesome.
Yep, I've seen them twice now, and always a good show. If you get a chance to see them on a Marth, it's a fun time.
Yeah, I saw him another time. I saw him was with Metal Church and Megadeth. They were sandwiched in between those two. It was fucking awesome.
I think I caught that tour too. It was solid.
Oh yeah. A long time. My first pick a long time ago in time period called the early 2000s. Mr. Rob Halford was not with Priest. He'd been a while since he had made some old school metal, and he dropped his first solo record, Resurrection. That was awesome, but it was on this second record that it was almost like in Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze when Shredder returned and everybody was reminded who he is. This song off the second Halford record is called Betrayal, and it is the most heavy metal song ever, and it is Halford in full force. And I remember when I first heard the song, I was like, oh shit, it is Halford's in full form, like Painkiller territory. So they remastered this song in the years since, so definitely go check out Halford's second record, and the song Betrayal is still fucking amazing. So
yeah, if you love Painkiller and you want that Painkiller Halford fix, that's a great. Those first two solo albums are just a great Painkiller. Almost, I would say, he almost surpasses his vocal. Like that might be some of his best vocal performance on those ones.
I thought the same with Halford and Dickinson. Like they have a couple solo records that really might be the best work of their career. Like it's definitely rivals, some of their best stuff for sure. And my next pick is from the band called Iron Man. The track is called Hail to the Haze. And they started as a Black Sabbath tribute band in 1986. Alfred Morris III and Kim Joffrey Martin on drums. They're from this band called Force. But then they started to just take some Black Sabbath songs they were playing and put together Iron Man. But then over the years they started putting out original songs and just real crunchy guitars and just thick ass bass. Like check it out, Iron Man with Hail to the Haze. This is from their album South of the Earth. Badass shit.
I'm sold. Sounds right.
I'm sold too. Have to check it out. All right, we back to me again for my pick.
We are.
Yes, sir.
All right, so this one, I was, like I said, getting back into vinyl, and I was just picking some albums that this isn't too much of an old album, but it's getting there now. So this was by the band Clutch, which I never really I always kind of made fun of Clutch and never got into them. I feel like there's a very certain person they're like really hardcore Clutch fans. Usually like a drummer of some kind that will just talk about the Clutch groove for hours and hours. But their album Earthrocker.
There's probably a podcast just related to that.
Oh yeah, I would not doubt it.
There's probably 90 podcasts.
All Clutch all the time. But anyways, I picked the track Unto the Breach, and it's a little more of a heavier one. I think it was fitting a heavy radio off the album Earthrocker. If you were like me and kind of never got into Clutch, Earthrocker is just any album since then they've put out just has disappointed me because it's not Earthrocker. It's a great album, and it's a great driving album. Like I feel like if you're on hitting the highway, you can throw some that album on the playlist, and it's just good to drive to. You might speed though. Watch out.
I got to be with you. It was a slow burn, but I've got turned on to the Clutch. Like it finally worked. There's some good jams there. I think they have an album that's like a tribute to classic monsters. Like every song's kind of like one's like a werewolf, one's like a Frankenstein, And what is that? The track that stuck with me, it always gets stuck in my head, is that "Quick Death in Texas" from a few years back. I love that
that's
song.
a good one. I think that was the album after.
Video's funny, but yeah, yeah, totally with you there.
The front man just seems like a good human being too, which is always good to see that in bands.
It's a good mixture of humor and like darker lyrics. I think is always entertaining to me. Yeah.
Awesome. My next old school pick is from maybe 10 years ago, a band called Heat. The song is called Heartbreaker. They're a Swedish metal band, more in like the pop rock zone. Like it's very 80s Bon Jovi vibe, but it's really catchy. This song, it also kind of reminds me of maybe like 80s Bolton, like before he went full Bolton when it was still 80s metal Bolton. So really catchy stuff. I didn't know cats were really still making stuff like this. So I just found out about them a few weeks ago. So definitely check out Heat if you're into that old school like 80s Bon Jovi vibe. And this song is called Heartbreaker. Super catchy.
Hell yeah. My next pick, Steel Wing with Solar Wind Riders. This band is from Sweden, I think the Stockholm area. This album came out in 2009, but Solar Wind Riders from Steel Wing, still one of my top bands to come out in the last few decades. Just some really badass, if you like songs about magic and death and science fiction, with a classic metal edge. This is your fucking guys right here.
You just need some Yngwie Malmsteen on guitar, and they would be the greatest band of all time.
Very close. But before they can get Yngwie Malmsteen, they need a triumphant music video.
Yep, it's a great conundrum.
They have some good ones, but I don't know if it's triumphant level yet.
That's a missed opportunity for that latest Bill and Ted movie. They should have just had Yngwie Malmsteen come out of a time machine all of a sudden at the end of it and just like join the band.
One of my new tracks was gonna be Marty Friedman. It got bumped, but I thought it would have sounded perfect as like the sorry Marty, you got bumped this week.
You got bumped.
But so you got brought back in thanks to that Bill and Ted, because it sounded to me like it would have been the perfect Wild Stallions song. It's one of the new Marty Friedman tracks. You should check that out. But yeah, as much as I'm just glad it came back and that it actually happened. Like I get there's some area for me to be critical as a diehard fan, especially like the music. Like Dave Grohl is probably not the guy I would have chose, but he was on Probot, so he's got some connection to the nitty gritty.
They're trying to connect with the youth of today with their choices for the new Bill and Ted.
Yeah, I feel like they should have just not worried about
Dave Grohl.
that as much. But it had almost more of a freaked vibe, which I'm not going to be mad at in some of the jokes and stuff, and freaked. But
very freaked vibe.
But yeah, so I mean, I was glad and I was happy to see it. I fucking teared up anyway. But at the same time, I think there would be room for a really epic, truly heavy metal Bill and Ted soundtrack also.
For sure. All right, well, I'm gonna bring the heavy for my next track pick. So this is a song from last year. It came out from Cattle Decapitation. The album is called Death Atlas, and the song is called Bring Back the Plague. And it came out right before the pandemic hit, so it's almost like what this album was. It was just about like the end of the world basically, and how we need to change. People need to change what they're doing in the world to avoid things like plagues coming back, and so it's a very on the nose message. And their last 3 albums, really, they put out all kind of are like a concept about themes of the world ending. And I think Death Atlas was like, all right, it happened. Like shit's hit the fan now.
They know what's up.
Y'all motherfuckers didn't listen to Tupac. And you didn't listen to Cattle Decapitation. What's it gonna take?
That's true.
Pay attention.
But no, I always thought it always made me think of like those stories you hear about like animal mutilations where like they don't know what is doing it, and like There's been like,
Chupacabra.
yeah, like, you know, people set up cameras and the only sign, like their blood is drained and like they're mutilated, like eviscerated and shit. And like, you're like, what the, this is a fucking predator or what the, who the fuck did this shit? Yeah, it's like no
Big predator.
scientific explanation. Like something came from like another dimension and just fucking drained this fucking
Spaceship.
blood, and then fucking went infrared and like diced some shit with some little red beady fucking blade shooting action.
The
Yeah.
Predator.
Yeah, the
Something like
predator.
that.
Watch out. Could be right behind you. You wouldn't know it.
Just
around,
have to
turn
cover
around, turn
yourself.
around.
You have to cover yourself in mud and you're safe.
Yep. Now they put that in their next record when the Predators attack.
Yeah. I think that's
Need
the
another
direction they're
warning?
going. You can write them a
Another
letter.
warning shot. My next old school track's another one a little off the main trail, but no doubt heavy. This is by Meatloaf, and this song is called "Life Is a Lemon and I Want My Money Back." Definitely a heavy tune. It's from the '92 record, "The Battle to Hell Part 2." Marco actually turned me on to this song many moons ago, and it's got back in my my regular rotation as of recently. So just heavy ass song. Don't really talk about Meatloaf a lot on this podcast, but there's definitely some heavy in there, especially on that record. So and his
Yeah.
subsequent albums.
When his world collided with Paul Crook from Anthrax, I think is really when like a lot of there's always been that heavy metal element, especially with the badass fantasy artwork and stuff. But it really on Bat Hat of Hell Part 2, and then I think it was revisited a third time, or maybe
Yeah.
more than that. It really just crossed into there's some heavy metal going on there.
Yeah.
When he got Paul Crook on guitar, I think it was just
Yeah, John 5 on that third one too.
yeah.
So there's metal. There's metal
I
in
guess
there.
Meats had a rough go of it in the last few years or decade or so. I think he can hardly sing anymore, but still a badass catalog that I enjoy spinning quite often.
He was eating too many meats.
Eating, yes, there
Too many
many
loaves.
too many meatloafs.
You don't
Like
know
our
what's in there. You got to
pre-show
check.
discussion about food.
You,
Yeah.
yes, you have to be very careful about
black
what
market.
meatloafs you eat.
You could have any kind of meat in there.
Make it yourself if you can, folks.
Yeah. Always make your
High
meatloaf. at home.
quality, grass-fed organics.
No
It can
meat
happen
there.
to you.
You can.
And now we're on to Heavy Radio 26. New tracks.
New tracks.
For me, we have a new track coming from a motherfucker you might recognize, Blaze Blaley from War. This track's called War Within Me. British heavy metal vocalist Blaze Blaley. You probably know him from Iron Maiden, if not from his now extensive solo career. He's got a new studio album coming out on April 9th, 2021. This track is out now. Crank it loud. It's Blaze Blaley with War Within Me. I think this is some of his best stuff. I've been always a fan of the Blaze, but to me this track sounds like a strong track from his catalog, strong track from in the spirit of maybe his time in Maiden. Very excellent track. Crank it, Blaze Blaley with War Within Me.
He had a couple of great solo albums. I can't remember what the one was called. It had that Ghost in the Machine song. Oh man, it's hard to remember the name.
Some guy's name or something, wasn't it? Like Resurrection of John.
That was the
Black
one
or
after, I
something?
think. Either way,
Yeah.
I think he was one of those artists that just Maiden made him a little more known, but then he went on and was just doing his own better stuff solo. So worth checking him out because a lot of people just discredit what he did with Maiden because it's hard to follow up.
because it's not
Dickinson.
Bruce. Well, I really still like X Factor a lot. The second one to me is one of the weaker Maiden albums, but I wouldn't even chalk it up to being Blaze's fault. I think maybe the rest of the band, it's a shock to be like playing arenas to like going back to small clubs and stuff, and I think it was more just like all of them were different forms of burnt out is what I've gathered as a fan. Like I don't put it on Blaze really.
Don't blame Blaze. Stop blaming
Right.
Blaze, everybody.
No,
So my
listen to
T-shirt
his
says.
solo shit, man. It's good.
All right. Well, I got moving on to a new pick. This is hot off the presses.
Ooh,
Um,
hot off.
I
Stop the press.
This is where I got worried.
Use the corn. Use the pointy corn things to hold it.
Vicky Vale.
And this is
Too hot.
the moment where I wonder if we'll have overlap at some point in time. But this one's a Rob Zombie cut. Hopefully you guys haven't picked one off this, but if you have, then we'll just overlap. The
I don't know if it's art, but I like it.
And this one's The Eternal Struggles of the Howling Man, a very classic Rob Zombie sounding album
Yeah.
title.
Totally.
And the new album, I think, comes out in a week or so, actually, his latest one. John Five's still on guitar. John Five hyped it up as being like the best stuff since like White Zombie and early Zombie, but I feel like he's been doing that.
Damn.
He's John Five's on the kind of the hype guy for
He's
Rob
a good
Zombie.
hype man.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, this track really does kind of feel like a mixture of that maybe first solo album Rob Zombie plus a little bit of White Zombie. Has like a one of those funky breakdowns like you get from White Zombie, where Rob Zombie's doing some kind of white man hippie dance that he does.
Right.
So yeah, it's a solid tune. I'm excited for the album. I feel like Rob Zombie disappoints me a lot once I get to the album, but hopefully, fingers crossed, this will be a good throwback to those classics.
Yeah, his last couple didn't do as much for me. Hillbilly Deluxe 2 is still one of my favorites, but that's been a while back now, but I'm excited. I'm always excited to see what tricks he's up to. And John Five is remarkable, so.
Yep.
Let's see. My first new track's by a band called Blackbriar, and the song is called The Seance. This would almost, I guess, it's getting up to the wall of like operatic metal, maybe, and the vocal style, but it's a lot more concise and succinct, like writing. It's more like, so I really like it. It's super catchy. The band's really good. Creative writing or creative like playing, and the vocals are just super catchy. So I just found out about these cats. So I'm gonna go back and check out the rest of the record. It's not stuff I would usually be gravitated towards, but this one, the chorus really stood out to me. So definitely check out Blackbriar with The Seance.
Hell yeah. My next new track for the Heavy Radio playlist on Spotify and YouTube. Go like the show, leave a review, share it. It is Saber with Midnight Rider. This album came out right at the beginning of 2021. It's called Without Warning is the album title. They're out of California, and I've actually been spinning this since it came out. Really great stuff. Had a hard time just picking one track, so that's why it took me a little while to get it in the playlist. But Saber with Midnight Rider, like these, I love these vocals. Love the lyrics, just full on heavy metal, no fucking doubt. Crank it loud. Saber with Midnight Rider.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of tracks I'll have to go back and check out. I saw that album cover for Saber, and it's like seems like something I'd be about, so I'll have to circle back. I think I saw it on Bandcamp.
It's all about what you want to be all about.
Definitely. And for my next pick, this is a band that I'm all about. It's Gojira. They have a new album. They kind of announced it a couple weeks ago, but the album's coming out April 30th already. So it's always nice when bands give you those surprises.
Right.
And Gojira, just if you've never seen a live show from Gojira, they're probably in a top 5 live bands for me. Just like great heavy riffing, and the drummer's excellent. Just the whole band's very talented and can do some original stuff. They definitely have carved out their own sound, but the track is Born for One Thing. I believe it's the lead track, or one of the close to the lead track on the new album that's coming out. So
yeah, a few years back, weren't they playing in Iowa City during a football game, right?
yeah, I kind of I probably could have influenced them to not make that decision, but I wasn't thinking at the time. I interviewed them for the college newspaper, the Daily Iowan, at the time, and they were like, "Oh, it seems like all the hotels are booked right now. Is there something we should know about?" And I was like, "I can't think of anything." And then afterwards, I was like, "Oh shit, Iowa Hawkeyes homecoming. Iowa City loves its college football, so like Gojira played this little venue, and like I ended up showing up late because they started playing early because there were so few people there. There was like a handful of people, And this is right before they went.
That's crazy.
This is right before they started opening for Metallica on the stadium tour. So they played like a show with nobody, and then they immediately after that started opening for Metallica and blew up huge. So
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's one of those crazy shows to see.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I kind of felt bad, but it seems like that didn't ruin their career. So I think we're okay.
They made it out. That's a cool
Yeah,
story.
probably don't play in a college town on a sports ball homecoming.
Yeah. Yeah, check
Probably
the
a bad-
football calendar, check the whatever sport of choice is
Bad
that.
move. Even if I like the concert better myself, it's not a smart move.
See, my last new pick is a band called Sumo Psycho, and the song is called Bystander. It's kind of like punk metal vibe, super upbeat. Just this is one to crank in the car and start speeding to. I just found out about these cats recently as well, so I definitely want to dig into their catalog and check out what else they got. But this new track is called Bystander. It's their new single, and the band is called Sumo Psycho. So really good stuff, really fun, good music to speed to. Not that I don't condone that, but if you were to.
Yeah. We got a dangerous couple songs on this playlist for speeding
Yeah.
purposes. So watch out.
Right? Highway Star.
It's game over
Yeah,
when
we
that comes on. Going 100 plus.
Speaking of which, we have a PSA from Bruce Springsteen about driving
Yeah.
safely in
Tequila
rural
shots, man.
rural America. Hey, this is the boss, and
There it was.
we're not going. We won't go there. We won't go there. We
Was that
We went
pre-recorded?
there, we went there, but we won't go there.
I feel like they should have went with a different take where he didn't laugh after it.
And he only said, hey, this is the boss. There was no other message. It's a
He
strange.
just he just
I don't
trails
think
off.
we got all that one. We'll have to
He
talk
might
to his
You gotta
PR.
knock
PR
back
team.
if you don't multitask while you're drinking and driving.
He was just trying to be a nice
You're
guy,
recording
right?
it while driving it.
He didn't want to. He didn't want to upset the fans. He had to take it.
Well, that was. I'm glad he chimed in.
Always good to hear from you, Bruce.
Anytime, boss. You can see him behind me.
Heavy Radio 26.